Hey guys, welcome back to our roster and schedule reveal portion of the FCS Dynasty Year 2. Right now we're going to look at the number 3 preseason bowl ranked Dayton Flyers. And let's start it off on offense. Sophomore quarterback Jared Martin, number 99, 5'11", 197 pounds, 85 overall. He had a great season last year. He threw for 2,441 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, 60% completion percentage. He had a great year. He also had 2 touchdowns on the ground. His backup, Dorian Wurra, he did have a couple starts on the year. He threw for 1,176 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 7 picks. And he only had a 45 completion percentage, but he has an 82 overall for his sophomore season. And he did a really good job running the football as well. He's going to continue to do that this year. He ran for 765 yards his freshman season with 9 touchdowns. And we're going to continue to get him the football on the ground, as well as some packages where he's going to throw the football as well. And on to Noah Johns, freshman quarterback, 76 overall, and he came in as a 4-star pocket passing recruit for the Dayton Flyers. And he will also he's going to have his own package. All the teams that I control completely, I'm going to try to get all the freshmen in there for at least, one package or formation sub, just so everyone can actually see their players. Because, that's why you're in this series, guys. You want to see your players succeed. So, Noah Johns, you will be in there. You have your own formation that you're going to be calling plays for. So, look forward for that. And at halfback, Smash Jackson, sophomore halfback. He's 5'11", 263 pounds. He's coming in with an 80 overall this season. He ran for 1,459 yards last year with 17 touchdowns and 57 broken tackles. He was just a monster, a beast. He was hard to take down, and he had 4 fumbles on the season as well. And he wasn't a huge factor in the receiving game. Only 11 catches, 1 touchdown. So nothing crazy there. And the second halfback is Sonny Six. He came in as a 5-star high school recruit, and he has an 80 overall as well. So we're going to see quite a bit of him this season. He's 5'7", 160 pounds, so he's the exact opposite of Smash Jackson. So we will have thunder and lightning here for the Dayton Flyers. And at wide receiver, Amari Manuel coming back, of course. He's a sophomore. He had a really good year last season. 25 catches, 820 yards. That's good for a 32.7 yard average. That's insane. He also had 7 touchdowns on the season. Only 5 drops, so he doesn't drop the ball a lot. Now, let's see what he did in the return game last year. He had no kick returns for touchdowns, but he did have 388 yards on returns along with 58. That is it for receivers, and he has an 82 overall this year. On a tight end, Trent Green and James Skaggs, both sophomore tight ends coming back, obviously. Both 6'6", similar builds. James Skaggs has about 30 pounds on Trent Green. Green has a 90 overall, and Skaggs comes in with an 89 overall. Trent Green led the team in receptions last year with 43, and he had 715 yards receiving, which was second on the team behind only Amari Manuel. He had 4 touchdown catches as well and 4 drops. James Skaggs wasn't a huge factor in the receiving game, just 15 catches. That was good for 6th on the roster. 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 drops on the season. He also had 7 carries for 23 yards, filling in for the injured fullback. Let's see what else. Blocking, James Skaggs also had 7 pancakes, no sacks allowed. So he's more of a blocking tight end, but we're going to try to get him the football a little bit more this season. I just think Dayton has so many weapons on offense. Maybe not subscriber players, but they're just loaded on offense all around. And I think James Skaggs and Trent Green are going to be pivotal for the Dayton Flyers in year number 2. On to the defense, folks. We have Cash Harris at defensive end, 86 overall for him. He wasn't a huge factor last year, just 23 tackles, 10 for a loss, and 4 sacks. And he had a pass deflection and a fumble recovery. That's really all he did. And he only had maybe 1 game where he made a huge impact for the Flyers. And at defensive tackle, Tank Taylor, He has an 86 overall as well. He's 6'3", 367 pounds. He had 36 tackles last year, which is 4th on the roster. 23 for a loss, obviously number 1 on the roster. 11 sacks, that led the team. This dude does it all for the defense. He had a fumble recovery as well. And let's not forget, Tank Taylor has a rushing touchdown in his career. 5 attempts, 12 yards, and 1 score, a long of 3. So it was fun watching him run the football a few times last season. And on to the freshmen of the defense, Dirt Davis and DB Slocum. Both 4-star recruits coming out of high school. Dirt Davis, 6'1", 220 pounds. He's a 78 overall. And DB Slocum, 6'4", 240. And he is a 76 overall. He's a defensive end build physically. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can bring to this defense alongside Rob Orlandi. So Rob Orlandi, DB Slocum, and Dirt Davis. That is the linebacking core for Dayton. And speaking of Rob Orlandi, he's coming in with an 88 overall. He was 3rd on the team in tackles with 39. He missed a handful of games, so he should have been number 1. He had 7 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and the biggest stat of the season last year for any defender, 11 interceptions for a middle linebacker. Insane stuff. He had 6 deflections, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, 2 defensive touchdowns on the year, 1 pick six, 1 scoop and score. Just a fantastic player. Now on to the secondary. Gloves Malone, 84 overall. He led the team in tackles with 48. He had 3 for a loss. Only 1 interception last season for the 95 speed Gloves Malone, which is very insane. He's got a pretty good catch rating. They just never really tested him too much. He had 17 deflections on the season as well, and that interception was a pick 6. So look out if Gloves Malone gets more interceptions next season. And Jermaine Price, the other cornerback, he's coming in with a 76 overall. He's 6'1", 211 pounds, and he had 28 tackles last season, which was 7th on the roster. Or no, excuse me, that was 6th on the roster. 3 tackles for loss. He only had 1 pick as well, returned for 4 yards. He had 12 pass deflections, and that is the only impact he made all season long. So the corners not really standing out too much for Dayton, but their freshman free safety might. 5-star recruit coming out of high school, Ball Hawk at free safety. Number 21, he's 6'4", 240 pounds. He's the same exact size as DB Slocum, the 4-star freshman outside linebacker. Ball Hawk coming in with an 82 overall. I'm really excited about him, and he's going to shore up that secondary quite a bit for the Dayton Flyers. And that is it for the players. Head coach John Gruden went 11-2 last season. Flyers won the Big Ten championship, and they won the Fiesta Bowl championship. So they know how to win football games here in Dayton, and John Gruden looks to have his team prepared here for year 2. Let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule and see their opponents for year number 2. And they're starting off hot against number 9 Central Michigan out of the MAC. That's going to be a good game. They faced Central Michigan last season to start things off. I believe it was their first game, and Central Michigan got the best of Dayton, and they got the victory out of that one. And then after that game, Dayton has a 4-game away stretch. So they travel to Harvard. They travel to take on Rice, number 17 in the country. That's going to be a tough matchup for them. They have Howell at quarterback. We saw him last season. I think it was against North Dakota State, and he just ran all over that defense. I know North Dakota State's not very good on the defensive side of the football, but that quarterback is very dangerous. After that, they take on the Southern Illinois Salukis. That starts their Big Ten play for the season. And the next week, week number 6, they'll be traveling to take on the 15th ranked in the preseason polls, Montana Grizzlies. And that is going to be a fun matchup. Dayton beat them last season. Week 7, they get a home game finally again against the Eastern Illinois Panthers. And then the final 2 away games for them, they take on Youngstown State and Western Illinois. All of these conference games are winnable for Dayton. It's the out-of-conference games that really worry me for them. And possibly the matchup with Montana. That's going to be a fun game to play. So it'll be pretty crazy to see Dayton this season. They don't have any subscriber matchups on this entire schedule. So looking at it that way, they have the easiest schedule out of all 12 of our schools. Let's see, they take on Illinois State, week number 10, and Northern Iowa, Villanova, and they finish off the season against Ohio. So they have week 13 and 14 off, and that is the final game of the season. So 3 games out of conference against really formidable foes. The game against Harvard should be an easy victory for Dayton. The Big East teams are not very good so far. I think Yale is the #1 team in the Big East, so look out for them. But other than Yale, the rest of them are just cupcakes. They're just a cakewalk. But other than the ranked opponents here, it's looking pretty good for Dayton. Maybe a 9 or 10 win season. At Central Michigan, Rice, Montana, and Ohio games, those could go either way. Look for them to win the rest of those games there in the Big Ten and their out-of-conference game here against Harvard. But that's it for this video, guys. The next one will be the Jacksonville Dolphins roster and schedule review, and that one will include our first user head coach, Marvin Joseph. So we'll see a little quote from him about his team expectations and what his thoughts are on his roster and schedule. But until then, take it easy, guys.